If you look at my pet wall right now, my pet memorial wall, you might be noticing that something is missing. And that would be because my white wolf pelt tore its nose, so it's no longer able to stay up on the wall. I also was doing a water change on my fish tank yesterday, and I accidentally dropped like 2 drops of water on it, and the leather immediately tore on the face where I dropped water. It was due for a repair anyway because I also accidentally tore the tail off. As you can see by the threads there, this is not the first time this has happened. This leather is not great. It's very weak leather, so I'm going to show you how we do repairs on weak leather. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, I actually pretty much never repair the things in my collection. I'm terrified of messing up, so I just never attempt it, but I want this wolf back on the wall. So what we're going to be doing is using a piece of really flexible leather here, some suede almost, and this Eileen's leather and suede glue. So what we're going to be doing is gluing the suede to this leather as a way to reinforce it, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill it into this gap. I don't trust sewing into this leather because of how weak and fragile it is, so basically we're just adding leather to it. So what we're going to do is just a thin layer of glue, and then we're going to press the leather into place. So I'm gonna let this dry and set before I cut off the extra leather, just in case, because I'm a little bit paranoid. Alright, so this is steadily on here, so we're gonna cut off the excess, and then I'm actually gonna add just a little bit more glue to some parts. So for the tail, I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently. Because of the way that the leather tore, it created this gap, and if I pull the gap together, it does start creasing the rest of the pelt. So I'm actually going to leave the gap as is. It's a pretty fluffy wolf, so I don't think it's going to be really noticeable from the other side. And I'm going to be gluing this around the hole that's there so that the leather will just be filling this in as opposed to just being over the leather side of the pelt. I'm also going to be gluing a little bit of leather to this tail because it's been repaired before and clearly that doesn't hold with this tail. Then I'll be able to sew the leather side of this tail to the leather that I'm adding to the pelt. I realized while I was doing this, there's a safety pin in here that was holding the tail on previously. So we're gonna get that out of there before I let everything dry. Oops. Alright, so same steps as before, cutting off the excess, re-gluing around the edges. So here's what it looks like on the other side of the wolf. You can't even tell that the leather is there. And here's how the face turned out. And I know that the nose area looks a little goofy with that piece of leather sticking out, but I'll be able to hole punch that piece of leather and use that as a way to hang this wolf back up on the wall. In the meantime, I'm not worried anymore about this face tearing because it is backed with the leather and you can't even tell otherwise. It's literally just that piece on the nose. And just like everything else, now same steps with So once this is done drying, I'm gonna give it, I don't know, I'm just gonna leave it for an hour just to play it safe. I don't think it actually needs that long to dry. My next step is going to just be sewing the tail to the rest of the body. I'm gonna put a hole punch in the nose up there, and then I can get it back on my wall. I'm not gonna record those steps because sewing takes me a bit, and you can figure out how to sew. When I do sew this though, it's going to be sewed just like that, kind of similar to how the tail was originally on the Pelt. Alright, so the tail's sewn back on. You can tell a little bit, but I'm not too pressed about it. Now we're just going to take our leather punch tool, and I'm just going to punch a little hole in here. This isn't a necessary step for anything. I'm just doing this because I'm putting this up on the wall and I need to get a nail. It's going to be on a nail, 2 nails actually. So this is going to help it do that. Alright, I just got it up. Moment of truth. Balance has been restored.